Shabbat Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Boy, I can't believe we are getting closer and closer to our Passover. I love this time of the year. I love spring. I love everything that's dormant come back to life. And you know this, especially if you live in the Northeast. And everything is back in full bloom. I love it. So this year, we'll be having our Passover. We got so much going on. There's so much things, so many things going on right now. But no matter what happens, we still have our Heavenly Father, the Most High. And we got to stay focused on the things that are important to us and not things that are important to this Gentile world or these Gentiles. We have no reason to be dealing in whatever issues they have. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me share. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, please give me a one if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another one of our Israelites gathering Shabbat studies. My name is Yadon Yasharal. I'm with my brother Kased Yasharal. Shabbat Shalom, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, as always, I'm thankful for another Shabbat. It's a lot going on in the world as always, and a lot in our personal lives. So, it's always thankful for this, this reprieve we get throughout the week.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. You know, we just got to keep in consideration that this is an endurance game. It's not some level you're going to lock or achieve, and then everything just going to be great. It's going to be an endurance, just like running a race, a marathon. You can get in the best shape of your life and be exactly at tip top condition, but you're going to have to struggle. You're going to have to push through it all the way to the end if you want to complete the goal. So, I adjure everybody to just continue being faithful and enduring, and focusing on repentance and stay immersed in this word, stay immersed in the scriptures and studies and thoughts. When you're lying in your bed, when you're sleeping, when you're getting up, when you're working, keep this scripture on your mind, because it is an all-out attack against the holy people of this nation. So definitely stay prayed up. So the title of our Shabbat study today is Purim, no weapon formed against you. Purim. So next Friday and Saturday are the days of Purim. Uh, that is, it's not a Moedim given by the Most High, but is culturally relevant to us and our history, and our leadership made this a day of reprieve, a day of celebration. So we're going to get into the history of that, and why we should observe Purim, and what's the root of it, and what can we take from it today. How does that affect us today? What is it for us to remember? The Most High is big on remembering. Remember this, remember that. So we want to remember what our forefathers went through, because Jacob's trouble is ahead of us, the great tribulation. And these are the things that are going to carry you through your faith. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get into the class. If you haven't already, visit our website at israelitesgathering.com. We just noticed that something happened with the website where people are having difficulties getting on the website. You might have to type out the whole HTTP colon / www.israelitesgathering.com on some browsers. I don't know what they did. We're going to go back and take a look at it. But it's making it very difficult to get on our website. This is something that we've been experiencing for years, just issue after issue. But, praise Yah, we always overcome. Also on our cell phone app, it's still in development. It's still publishing. So we're trying to get the class live on that. You won't be able to really see it live on some of these apps until after the class, when we put it up in the Bible study section. So if you didn't catch it live, we'll put it up there so you can catch it. And as always, you can get it on Rumble and YouTube. We're going good on those. So like I said, the title of our Shabbat today is No Weapon Formed Against Us. And what we have to understand is it's a common cycle. We rebel against the order of the Most High. We start to feel ourselves. We start to feel like we the reason, we special. And we start to do like the rest of the nations. And then when that happens, Yah sends prophets to warn us. And the prophets warn us. And, we stone the prophets. We run the prophets off. We hate them. We don't listen. And then Yah allows the judgment to come. So when the judgment comes, we cry and we scream and we pray, and it becomes so unbearable. The Most High turns on us for a moment. And it's the same story. Just like a hero of a story or a merciful king, he finally hears his people and he comes back and he saves our people. And in that process, while the Most High turns his back on us, just for a small moment, the nations try to take advantage. They figure this is our time. This is our time to attack them, because the Most High is not dealing with them. So they form all kind of weapons in all kind of ways. And, we cover some of those weapons and some of those ways, during our class. But ultimately, it's the same result. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. That doesn't mean that they're not going to form weapons against you. That doesn't mean that it's not going to sting, that it's not going to hurt, but it's not going to prosper. It's not going to finish the job. So as they're forming more of these weapons, and the technology is getting better, and the AI and the chemical warfare and all that, attack on information and misdirection, remember, it shall not prosper. So Purim is a reminder of that whatever they try to do against our nation, the Most High gonna save us. All right, so let's open up. We're gonna start, in Yeshaya, Isaiah chapter 54. Yeshaya, Isaiah chapter 54. And this is an open forum. So if you have questions, comments, by all means, you can chime in decently in order, and we will do our best to try to answer your questions. So let me go ahead and pull up the scripts. with me 1 second. All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to go to Isaiah, Yeshayah, chapter 54, and we're going to start that at verse 1. And Shabbat Shalom to my big brother Yafi Yehuda. Good to see you, family. As always, Shabbat Shalom, sis Ariel. I pray that you are your health is doing well, you and your family. So we're at Yeshayah, Isaiah chapter 54, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
All right, Isaiah 54 and verse 1. Sing, O barren, you that did not bear. Break forth into singing and cry aloud, you that did not travail with child. For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, says Yahweh. Enlarge the place of your tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of your habitations. Spare not, lengthen your cords, and strengthen your stakes. For you shall break forth on the right hand and on the left, and your seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make desolate the cities to be inhabited. Fear not, for you shall not be ashamed, neither be you confounded, for you shall not be put to shame, for you shall forget the shame of your youth, and shall not remember the reproach of your widowhood any more. For your Maker is your husband, Yahweh of hosts is his name, and your Redeemer, the Holy One of Yasharal. The Elohim of the whole earth shall he be called.
All right, so this is the difference between us and the rest of the nations. Is our Maker is our husband. He married. He surnamed us. He married us. So it says two become one. So we became one with the Most High, and we became representation of His house. All right, Tom Sheep.
Verse 6. For Yahweh has called you as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth, when you were refused, says Elohim, says your Elohim. For a small moment have I forsaken you, but with great mercies will I gather you. In a little wrath I hid my face from you for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on you, says Yahweh, your Redeemer. For this is as the waters.
So verse 8 and verse 7. For a small moment have I forsaken you, but with great mercies will I gather you. So we could be in such a place where we are in so much wickedness. Our mouths is speaking so much unpureness that the Most High, to stop from killing us off, has to turn his back on us, has to cut his ears from hearing us so that he doesn't have to deal with all the foolishness that's coming out of our mouths. And while this happens, we're no longer getting that favor and that grace that the Most High gives us. So we cry and we complain and we blame everybody else except for ourselves, right? And the Most High is doing this to save us, to get us to think about our behavior, to look at who's really on our side and who's really our enemies. But in that small moment that he's forsaken us, he's not going to leave us stranded. He's not going to forsake us forever. With great mercies, he gathers us. So he tries to find whatever way he could possibly find in righteousness to bring us back. He don't just leave us to just die and pine away and be destroyed. He always comes back for us. All right, Tom Sheep.
Verse 9. For this is as the waters of Noah unto me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah should go no more over the earth, so have I sworn that I would not be wroth with you, nor rebuke you. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from you. Neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, says Yahweh, that has mercy on you.
That has mercy. When you give somebody mercy, you're giving somebody some kind of grace or benefit that they do not deserve. That's the mercy. So the Most High is telling us that even though you don't deserve this, my kindness shall not depart from you. My covenant of peace shall not be removed. And that covenant of peace is when you do righteousness, you will have peace. When you do wickedness, you will get rebuke. And when you decide to repent, he will return the peace. And he's going to have mercy even if we cannot repent enough to cover the damage that we did. The fact that we are making that attempt, Yah is having mercy on us. So as the children of this God, of this Elohim that operates in this fashion, we should be empowered knowing that he always going to have our back. We shall not be removed. His kindness will not depart from us. So that's power to us. And that's also an example of how we deal with our own people and our households and the other nations, that we are merciful. Even though you don't deserve this, we're going to give some level of mercy. Obviously, we're not the Most High Yah, but we're going to be a merciful people. Tamshi?
Verse 11. O you afflicted, tossed with tempest and not comforted. Behold, I will lay your stones with fair colors and lay your foundations with sapphires. And I will make your windows of agates and your gates of carbuncles and all your borders of pleasant stones.
And didn't he say that's what the kingdom's going to look like? All the gates with stones and the names of the 12 tribes of Israel?
Verse 13. And all your children shall be taught of Yahweh, and great shall be the peace of your children. In righteousness shall you be established. You shall be far from oppression, for you shall not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near you. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against you shall fall for your sake. Behold, I have created the smith that blows the coals in the fire, and that brings forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, says Yahweh.
And their righteousness is of Yah. So the problem is we always trying to replace Yah's righteousness with the righteousness of our own, how we think and how we feel and what benefits us. But not the servants of the Most High. The servants of the Most High, their righteousness is of Yah. The whole world could say they wicked. The whole world could talk against them, but Yah will say these brothers and sisters are righteous because they are keeping the commandments and they're repenting. They're doing the will of Yah. And those individuals, it says, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So if you stand in that righteousness, which is the righteousness of Yah, not your own, every tongue that rises against you in judgment, you will condemn them. So this is our heritage. We can't forget that. And our ancestors that knew that, remembered that, were able to benefit from that faith and that understanding in the time when it really mattered. All right, so let's move on. Let's get into Purim now. Let's start in the book of Hadassah, which is Esther, chapter 3. Going to Esther, chapter 3, and we're going to look at Purim now. So remember, no weapon formed against us will prosper. And just because he turned his back on us for a small little moment, his grace and his mercy will never leave. It's always going to come back. The book of Hadassah, Esther, we're going to start that at chapter 3.
All right, Esther, Hadassah chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
All right, so this is the Persian king, Ahasuerus, which is, I believe, is Xerxes, is promoting Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and advanced him. So can anybody tell me what bloodline that is? Haman. Can anybody tell me what bloodline is Haman? The Agagite. That's the clue right there, the Agagite. So let's check the comments and see if anybody knows this. What bloodline is Haman? And Shabbat Shalom, Sis Evie, good to see you. And Shabbat Shalom, Michelle Gladden. And Shabbat Shalom, baby sis, Denisha, good to see you. So can anybody tell me? I'm going to check the YouTube. What bloodline is Haman? It's important to understand what bloodline he is because there's a pattern here. All right, we'll give maybe one more minute. I know these comments come in late. All right, I don't see an answer, so I'm going to go ahead and answer it. He's an Edomite. Esau, Agag, Edomite. So this is Edom. This is our enemies that hate us and want to kill us and want to do everything that the father and mother hate. All right, so this is who's being promoted now. All right, verse 2.
And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest you the king's commandment? Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Yehudi, or Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman, or Haman, full of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Yahudim that were throughout the kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
All right, so this is a decree that he's trying to put together. I'm going a little ahead of myself. He wants to wipe out all of the Israelites throughout the kingdom of Ahasuerus. So this is when the Persians was running everything. So this is all over the world. Remember, Judah alone is at the four corners of the earth, but we reside everywhere. And now he wants to kill all of us because one Yahudim refused to bow down. Don't take much. Go ahead.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar.
All right, so there it is. They cast pur. So this is the root word of Purim. This is where that comes from. So let's look that up. All right, pure. H6332, which is a lot. by means a broken pieces. So they casting broken pieces. They rolling dice on us, trying to decide how they gonna do what they gonna do to us. All right, Tom She. And
Verse 8.
make sure that you have access to the 1611.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Would you like me to read from that now, or?
Yeah. Start at verse 7 in 1611.
Okay, 1 second.
They got a little addition at the bottom. I just wanted to cover that. That's why.
All right. Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all the people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasuries.
So they now put a price on our heads. 10,000 talents of silver to the hands that have the charge to do this business. So they putting a bounty to kill off all of our people in all of the realms. This is serious. do this business. So they put in a bounty to kill off all of our people in all of the realms. This is serious. Do the Hebrews know about this when this is going on? No, we have no clue until the edict is put out. All right, Tom Sheet.
Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Yahudim's enemy.
The Yahudim's enemy. So who is the enemy of Yahudim? Esau and the Canaanites. Those are the main enemies. So the Agagite, they make sure to give you the bloodline so you can know that this is bred within a certain bloodline of people that is known for doing this. And you take that same bloodline and fast forward to now, and you're seeing the same practices. Verse 11.
And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to you, the people also, to do with them as it seems good to you. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month, and there was written, according to all that Haman had commanded, unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every province, of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people and their language, in the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring.
So, understanding that we are strangers everywhere we go, and we have a tendency to be under the blessings of the Most High. Once we halfway repent, we start to get elevated. So we have jealousy everywhere that we go. And now you're saying to all of our enemies, not only are we not going to avenge you murdering the children of Israel, we're going to pay you to do that. Oh, so you mean I can kill them, take their business, kill them, take their home, kill them, take their women, kill them, take their money, and you're going to pay me to do that? This is the situation. Go ahead.
Verse 13. And the letters were sent by the post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Yahudim, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take spoil of them for a prey.
All right, so obviously it took some time because they did this in the 13th day of the first month. So it took about 11 months to get these letters out to all the provinces. So now all these provinces got this letter in the last month, in the 12th month, which they called Adar. Anytime you got names of months other than Abib, it's because we now in captivity. This is now captivity talking. That's why it's called Adar. We don't have no name for the 12th month. That's not even a Hebrew word. So this is the names that they gave. So this is the in the 12th month, right? On the 13th day of the 12th month, they have now sent these letters to kill all of us in every province. All right. So do you see the rest of Esther in the 1611?
Yep.
All right. Go ahead and continue. And this is the stuff they took out. They took out portions of these books because they don't want you to know who you are and who's doing what to you. So that when you look up today and say, well, you mean these people? You mean the same people who are in charge of keeping us safe? They did this? So they just removed it. Go ahead.
All right, so starting with the first edition, it starts as 13:1. The copy of the letters was this. The great king Artaxerxes writes these things to the princes and governors that are under him from India unto Ethiopia in 127 provinces. After that I became lord over many nations and had dominion over the whole world, nor lifted up the presumption of my authority, but carrying myself always with equity and mildness. I propose to settle my subjects continually in a quiet life, and making my kingdoms peaceable and open for passage to the utmost coast, to renew peace which is desired of all men. Now when I asked my counselor how this might be brought to pass, Haman, that excelled in wisdom among us, and was approved for his constant goodwill and steadfast fidelity, and had the honor of the second place in the kingdom,
So I'm assuming
declared unto
Haman is Haman. Go ahead.
declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations and continually despised the commandments of kings, so as the uniting of our kingdoms honorably intended by us cannot go forward.
All right. So they're saying, look, these people, these rebellious, malicious people got a strange law. And this law prevents them from worshiping the gods we put here on this earth, the gods we've made in control. And this is stopping us from this new world order, from getting everybody under my control. This is the same problem they've having with us from realm to realm to realm to realm. We can't get these people to all come together with everybody. So the only successful way that they was able to do that was Christianity. Christianity took everybody's pagan religion, put it in one, and now it's one of the largest religions in the world that has us in the religion. All right.
Being then we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition unto all men, differing in the strange manner of their laws, and evil affected to our state, working all mischief they can, that our kingdom may not be firmly established. Therefore have we commanded that all they that are signified in writing unto you by Haman, who is ordained over the affairs and is next unto us, shall all with their wives and children be utterly destroyed by the sword or their enemies, without all mercy and pity, the 14th day in the 12th month Adar of this present year, that they who of old and now also are malicious may in one day with violence go into the grave, and so ever hereafter cause our affairs to be well settled and without trouble. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed.
Everybody's perplexed. It's just like, wow, you gonna murder these people? All right, so let's go on. And you see, they took out the specifics of what was in that letter, how malicious that letter was, and why they want to kill us. Because we stopping the whole world from coming together under their order. All right, let's go to chapter 4.
Esther, Hadassah, chapter 4, and verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out in the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Yahudim, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
All right, so when we are in a extreme tribulation, this is what we do to get the Most High's attention. We fast, we weep, we wail, and we let it be known that we are hurt and struggling and in need. It's uncomfortable to look at that. It's uncomfortable to see people mourning and crying and fasting and wailing and all that type of stuff and dressing in harsh clothing. You're going to get attention. So this is what we did. The Most High turned his back on us. We weren't listening. So we cried, we wailed. And depending on the type of king or the type of God, that could be seen as rebelliousness. Now, what happens when we cry and we wail and we do that in the streets here? They shoot us down. They kill us. They label us a problem. They put us in jail. That's the difference. Verse 4.
So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent Raymond to clothe Mordecai and to take away the sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
All right, so if we go into history, Hadassah, which was renamed Esther, was Mordecai's niece, and she was a Hebrew that was the wife, one of the wives. She was a queen, and she was kind of passing where they didn't know that she was a Hebrew. So she's in this high up position with the king, comfortable, but there's a decree to kill off all the Jews in the whole province. So he could say, well, I didn't know why you lied to me. And he could kill her off. So she's in a dangerous situation. Go ahead.
Then called Hadassah for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Yahudim, to destroy them. And he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Hadassah, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him and for her people. And Hatak came and told Hadassah the words of Mordecai. Again Hadassah spake unto Hatak, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king and into the inner court, who is not called, there's one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out of the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
All right, so this is how the Gentiles ruled things. They were into that lordship. So they had it where you couldn't even come to the king. And you got to also understand some of this is military strategy too, to protect the king. So you could not approach the king, his court where he is, unless he called you and summoned you to come to him. And if you did come and approach the king in his court without being summoned, unless he took the scepter and touched and reached it out to you, then you would be murdered. So now she has two threats of death. One, being out of order because the king ain't called her for 30 days. She could be put to death. And the fact that there's a death warrant, there's a hit out, there's money on the head of all the Israelites in the realm, all the realms of the Persians. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Hadassah's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Hadassah, think not with yourself that you shall escape in the king's house more than all the Yahudim. For if you altogether hold your peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Yahudim from another place. But you and your father's house shall be destroyed. And who knows whether you are come to the kingdom for such a time as this.
Hallelujah. So don't think that because you in the king's house, that if there's judgment against the children of Yasharal, because the Gentiles the one that are enacting this, but Yah's the one who allowed it. So don't think you're going to escape because you sitting high up in Massa's house, right? Because if you hold your peace and you decide you're not going to do what you're supposed to do, the children of Yasharal still going to get delivered, but you and your house are going to be destroyed. Because if you are in a position to do righteousness and you choose not to, that is sin against you. You from the God of righteousness. You're supposed to be representing him on this earth and showing the rest of the nations these strange laws, the law of righteousness. And if you choose to not do so you can reserve yourself, that's where Mashiach get it from. Those that go to save their life will lose it. And those that will lose their life for this word's sake will gain it. Tom Sheep.
Verse 15. Then Hadassah bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go, gather together all the Yahudim that are present in Shushan, and fast you for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish.
And that's a servant of the Most High. This woman, this queen, has more love and faith in the Most High than a lot of brothers. She willing to die. She not willing to die because we suffering. Hey, I don't got nothing to lose. She's sitting in the queen's seat. She comfortable. She's passing. She's safe. And if she has a child, the child gonna be another nation anyway. So she like, hey, I'm good. Go ahead.
Then Mordecai thought upon all the works of Yahweh and made his prayer unto him, saying, O Yah, the King Almighty, for the whole world is in your power. And if you have appointed to save Yasharal, there is no man that can gainsay you.
Why would they take that out? What's so dangerous about that? Oh Yah, the King Almighty, for the whole world is in your power. And if you have appointed to save Yasharal, there's nobody that can gainsay you. Why would they take that out? They don't want you to have that faith. They don't want you to have that belief in your battles in your life. When the sin in your life, when your flesh in your life trying to kill all of you, they ain't trying to kill a piece of you. It's trying to kill all of you. And you're supposed to remember, listen, if you appointed me to live, and how did you appoint me to live? In righteousness. So if I live in righteousness, ain't nobody can gainsay you.
For you have made heaven and earth and all the wondrous things under the heaven. You are master of all things, and there is no man that can resist you, which are Yahweh. You know all things, and you know, Yahweh, that it was neither in contempt nor pride, nor for any desire of glory, that I did not bow down to proud Haman. For I could not have been content with goodwill for the salvation of Yasharal to kiss the soles of his feet. But I did this that I might not prefer the glory of man above the glory of Elohim. Neither will I worship any but you, O Elohim, neither will I do it in pride. And now, O Yahweh Elohim and King, spare your people, for their eyes are upon us to bring us to naught. Yea, they desire to destroy the inheritance that has been yours from the beginning.
So you can see why they took this out. No, we not bowing down to no man. We not calling no man father and all this foolishness, praying through you for forgiveness. No. So they don't want you understanding all this. They want you to just understand the basics that allow you to be manipulated. But everything that's empowering you, giving you the faith, showing you how to stand up and giving you the results, nah, they got to go. And shalom to my brother Aaron Hicks, to you and your home. And big shalom to my brother Dre Day. Good to see you, family.
All right, continuing the addition to Esther chapter 4, 13-16. Despise not the portion which you have delivered out of Mizraim for your own self. Hear my prayer and be merciful unto your inheritance. Turn our sorrow into joy, that we may live, O Yahweh, and praise your name, and to destroy the mouths of them that praise you, O Yahweh. All Yasharal in like manner cried most earnestly unto you, Yahweh, because their death was before their eyes.
And why does it have to get to this point before we can come together? Why do we got to be on a plane that's about to get hijacked for all black people to be on the same page? Why we got to be, they going to wipe out the whole nation. They killing us in the streets before we can come together and say, hey, we ain't with this. He had to turn his back on us for a moment and all hell breaks loose. Now all of a sudden we remember who we are.
Queen Esther, also being in fear of death, resorted unto Yahweh, and laid away her glorious apparel, and put on the garments of anguish and mourning, and instead of precious ointments, she covered her head with ashes and dung, and she humbled her body greatly, and all the places of her joy she filled with her torn hair. And she prayed unto Yahweh Elohim of Yasharal, saying, O my Adonai, you only are our king. Help me, desolate woman, which have no help but you. For my danger is in my hand. From my youth up, have I heard of in the tribe of my family that you, O Yahweh, took Yasharal from among all people, and our fathers and all their predecessors for a perpetual inheritance, and you have performed whatsoever you did promise them.
All right. So verse 5, from my youth up, I've heard in the tribe of my family. This is what you're supposed to be teaching your daughters and your sons. He took Yasharal from among all the people, our fathers from all their predecessors, for a perpetual inheritance. And you perform whatsoever you promised them. Everything you said you was going to do, you perform that. You pass that on to your family and to your children. You don't know when this is the thing that's going to save their life and potentially the life of the whole nation.
And now we have sinned before you. Therefore have you given us unto the hands of our enemies.
We are different people. We acknowledged our sin. Yeah, you doing this because we turned against you. That's why we in the hand of our enemies. That's how we got to be in the Persian captivity. That's how. You got to teach that to your children. Why we in this situation? Oh, because white people wicked. Oh, because the government. No, because we sinned against Yah. And wherever we were, which is all the realms of the world, we eventually went into captivity because of our sin.
Because we worshiped their gods. Oh, Yahweh, you are righteous.
How we worship their gods? How do we worship their gods? Well, hey, we just had what the other god for a couple last week, right? Same week. How we worshiping the God? What we seeing? 2 incidents in Atlanta with black people. One we talked about. They cut the head off a dog, a black man, cut the head off a dog. When we do stuff, we don't do stuff like that, right? How coincidental, right? Right around their little Lupercalius day, right? Lupercalius, whatever that's called, right? Then literally on the 14th, right here in Atlanta in Cobb County, they find a 21-year-old brother hanging in the forest, dead, and they saying it's suicide. What a coincidence. How we worship it, that's how we worship it. Through rituals, participating in these pagan activities that we know of or unknowing, but we're participating.
Nevertheless, it satisfies them not that we are in bitter captivity, but they have stricken hands with their idols, that they will abolish the thing that you with your mouth has ordained, and destroy your inheritance, and stop the mouth of them that praise you, and quench the glory of your house and of your altar, and open the mouths of the heathen to set forth the praises of the idols, and to magnify a fleshly king forever. O Yahweh, give not your scepter unto them that be nothing, and let them not laugh at our fail, but turn their devices upon themselves, and make him an example that has begun this against us.
And you got to be careful messing with the children of Yasharal. You got to be I don't care who you are, whether you a king, Whether you are a poor person, whether you are an adult, a child, whether you of Yasharal or not, if you try to do wickedly and wish wickedness on them, Yah will turn that around on you. And he's given us plenty of examples. But how are you going to turn it around on them when you're doing the thing that he allowed them to do to you because you didn't want to keep the commandments? So he's allowing them to do that to you. So why are you going to turn it around on them? Not for your sake. Go ahead.
Remember, O Yah, make yourself known in time of our affliction, and give me boldness, O King of nations, and Adonai of all power. Give me eloquent speech in my mouth before the lion. Turn his heart to hate him that fights against us, that there may be an end of him and of all that are like-minded to him. But deliver us with your hand, and help me that am desolate, and which have no other helper but you. You know us all things, O Yah. You know that I hate the glory of the unrighteous, and abhor the bed of the uncircumcised and of all the heathen. You know my necessity, for I abhor the sign of my high estate, which is upon my head, in the days wherein I showed myself, and that I abhor it as a menstruous rag, and that I wear it not when I am private by myself.
So she's saying, look, I'm in this situation, but don't you know my heart? I don't like being in this situation, being elevated above my people, in control of the heathen. I do what I have to do to survive this captivity. But when I'm alone, I'm private, when you can see what's really in my heart, I'm not dealing with this. I treat it like a menstruous rag, uncleanness. Is that how you treat in the heathen's culture? Or you trying to be comfortable with it because you making some more money, or you comfortable, or you in their organization, or you got their badge, or whatever the case may be. Yah's watching that. He knows what you do in your private time.
And that your handmaid is not eaten at Haman's table.
I ain't
and
ate
that
at the Edomites' table. I'm not doing it, is what she's saying. Go ahead.
And that I have not greatly esteemed the king's feast, nor drunk the wine of the drink offerings.
I didn't greatly esteem. I had to show up, or they're going to kill me. I'm not drinking their drink offerings. I'm not celebrating with you in your wickedness or your pagan festivities. That's what believers do. Opportunists, yeah, they'll feast with you if it's cool to be Hebrew, but if it's not, nah, they ain't nowhere to be seen. Go ahead.
Neither had your handmaid any joy since the day that I was brought here to this present, but in you, O Yahweh Elohim of Abraham, O you mighty Elohim above all, hear the voice of your forlorn, of the forlorn, and deliver us out of the hands of the mischievous, and deliver me out of my fear.
Praise Yah. Let's go on to chapter 5. And again, there's more that they took out. So we reading the full version that many of y'all probably haven't read before. Go ahead.
Esther, Hadassah, chapter 5, and verse 1. Now it came to pass on the third day that Hadassah put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house.
All right, I'm seeing a different version. I'm seeing upon the third day when she had ended her prayer, she laid away her mourning garments and put on her glorious apparel. You have that version?
Where's that at? Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see that.
Okay, start and upon the third day.
Oh, there was a verse above that apparently on my version for some reason.
Okay.
It's like started at verse 1. And upon the third day, when she had ended her prayer, she laid away her mourning garments and put on her glorious apparel. And being gloriously adorned, after she had called upon Elohim, who is the beholder and savior of all things, she took 2 maids with her, and upon the one she leaned as carrying herself daintily, and the other followed bearing up her train. And she was ruddy through the perfection of her beauty, and her countenance was cheerful and very amicable or amiable, but her heart was in anguish for fear. Then, having passed through all the doors, she stood before the king, who sat upon his royal throne and was clothed with all his robes of majesty, all glittering with gold and precious stones, and he was very dreadful. And it was so when the king saw Esther.
I got here where it says, then lifting up of his countenance that shone with majesty. Do you see that? Should be 15:7. Then lifting
15.
up. Then lifting up.
Yeah, that's next.
Okay. Go ahead.
For some reason, I think we have 2 different versions.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Read what you have. I just want to make sure that we're at least covering what I got displayed.
Yep. All right. It said, then lifting up his countenance that shone his majesty with majesty, he looked very fiercely upon her, and the queen fell down and was pale and fainted, and bowed herself upon the head of the maid that went before her. Then Alahan changed the spirit of the king into mildness, who in a fear leaped from his throne and took her in his arms till she came to herself again, and comforted her with loving words, and said unto her,
all right, so you
Esther.
you see right there, he was dreadful, had a very wicked countenance, angry countenance. But Yah changed that spirit instantly. Instantly, she came in there. Now, part of that got to do with the beauty of our women. That instantly change your attitude as well. But this is spiritual. The same way Saul was trying to kill David, and David bowed down, put his life before Yah and Yah's hands after a man that's literally trying to kill him. And that demon leaped off of Saul, and he realized, wait a minute, this is a righteous man. This is how you have to put your life on the line. You're not going to save your life. If you're supposed to be here to stand up for our people, if you're supposed to be here to do righteousness and represent the King of righteousness on this earth, his will is going to be done. You're not going to save yourself. But if you do his will, he will save you. The Gentiles don't understand that. They haven't had that visitation. You should understand that. He visited your people and many of us individually. Go ahead.
Esther, what is the matter? I am your brother. Be of good cheer. You shall not die, though our commandment be general, come near. And so he held up his golden scepter and laid it upon her neck, and embraced her, and said, Speak unto me. Then said she unto him, I saw you, my master, as an angel of Yahweh, and my heart was troubled for fear of your majesty. For wonderful are you, master, and your countenance is full of grace. And as she was speaking, she fell down for faintness. Then the king was troubled, and all his servants comforted her. Then said the king unto her, What will you, Queen Esther or Hadassah? What is your request? It shall be even given to you to the half of the kingdom. And Hadassah answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Hadassah has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Hadassah had prepared. And the king said unto Hadassah at the banquet of wine, What is your petition? And it shall be granted you. And what is your request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then answered Hadassah and said, My petition and my request is, if I have found favor in your sight, in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said. Then went Haman forth that day, joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman told of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Hadassah the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this avails me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Yehudi, or the Jew, sitting at the king's gate.
This is the type of indignation and hate that these people have for your people. They don't even want to see you sitting poor in sackcloth. They just want you exterminated. You got to understand there's a bloodline and a spirit of people that just want to kill you. And those people run the government, own the media, have the secret societies, control the banking. Verse 14, and apparently control the military. Go ahead.
Then said Zeresh his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits, and tomorrow speak you unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go you in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the king pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. The gallows to be made.
All right, let's go on to chapter 6.
Esther, Hadassah chapter 6 and verse 1. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity has been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that mistrusted unto him, that ministered unto him, there's nothing done for him. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king, to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him.
What a coincidence. So again, the king couldn't even sleep. He had something on his mind, and Yah brought it to his remembrance, the righteousness that Mordecai had did unto him. Right in the same time that this Edomite is getting ready to go, hey, let's go kill one of these people. Go ahead.
And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman stands in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delights to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself? And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delights to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king uses to wear, and the horse that the king rides upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal whom the king delights to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Then the king said to Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as you have said, and do even so to Mordecai, the Yehudi, that sits at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all you have spoken. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback throughout the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delights to honor.
So you see how much he hates our people and his people, how much they hate us. And now he's having to honor Mordecai, the Yahudim, the same man that it bothered him just to see him poor in sackcloth in front of the gate. And he's being humbled, and he's by the order of the king made to honor this man. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Yahudim, before whom you have begun to fall, you shall not prevail against him, but shall surely fall before him.
So even his own people know, you coming against the Yahudim? Oh boy. If this is who you coming against, you finna fall. Go ahead.
And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
All right, chapter 7.
Esther, Hadassah, chapter 7 and verse 1. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is your petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted you. And what is your request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed and to be slain and to perish. But if we have been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
Oh boy, how those tables had turned. That same weapon that you formed against us, you tried to form that king of the Gentiles to come against us. And guess what? That weapon that you formed is now aiming straight at you. And let's see who else is aiming at. Go ahead.
And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up, And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, stands in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
All right, chapter 8.
And on that day, did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Yahudim's enemy, unto Esther the queen, and Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai, and Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Yahudim. Then the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, If it please the king, and if I have found honor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Yahudim, which are in all the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Yahudim, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews.
So now he has his whole family being killed. They hanging his whole house now because of his deeds. He thought it was because he had a problem with one man. He thought, let me kill off this whole man's family. Now that same thing you wanted to happen to him, this happened to you and your family getting wiped out.
Verse 8. Write you also for the Yahudim as it likes you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is the month. Sorry, which month is it?
What, Sivan?
Sivan, okay. On the 23rd day thereof, and it was written according to all the Mordecai commanded unto the Yahudim and to the lieutenants, and the deputies and rulers of the provinces, which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and 127 provinces, and unto every people after their language, and to the Yahudim according to their writing, and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries. Wherein the king granted the Yahudim, which were in every city, to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people in the province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Upon one day in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is in the month Adar, the great King Artaxerxes unto the princes and governors of 127 provinces from India unto Ethiopia, and unto all our faithful subjects greeting. Many, the more often they are honored with the great bounty of their gracious princes, the more proud they are waxen, and endeavor to hurt not our subjects only, but not being able to bear abundance, do take in hand to practice also against those that do them good, and take not only thankfulness away from among men, but also lifted up the glorious words of lewd persons that were never good. They think to escape the justice of Elohim, that sees all things and hates evil. Oftentimes also fair speech of those that are put in trust to manage their friends' affairs have caused many that are in authority to be partakers of innocent blood, and have enwrapped them in remediless calamities.
And this is no different than now. You got a lot of people just doing jobs, working in certain positions, not knowing that you're executing wickedness. You're being used Go ahead.
Beguiling with the falsehood and deceit of their lewd disposition the innocency and goodness of princes. Now you may see this as we have declared, not so much by ancient histories as you may, if you research what has been done wickedly of late through the pestilent behavior of them that are unworthily placed in authority. And we must take care for the time to come that our kingdoms may be quiet and peaceable for all men, both by changing our purposes and always judging things that are evident with more equal proceeding. For Haman, the Macedonian, the son of Amadatha, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received us, had so far forth obtained the favor that we show towards every nation, as that he was called our father and was continuously honored of all men as the next person unto the king. But he, not bearing his great dignity, went about to deprive us of our kingdom and life, having by manifold and cunning deceits sought of us the destruction as well as Mordecai, who saved our life and continually procured our good, and also of blameless Esther, partaker of our kingdom, with their whole nation. For by these means he thought, finding verses destitute of friends, to have translated the kingdom of the Persians to the Macedonians. But we find that the Yahudim, whom this wicked wretch has delivered to utter destruction, are no evildoers, but live by the most just laws, and that they be children of the Most High and most mighty living Elohim, who has ordered the kingdom both unto us and to our progenitors in the most excellent manner. Wherefore you shall do well not to put in execution the letters sent unto you by Haman the son of Hammedatha. For he that was the worker of these things hangs in the gates of Shushan with all his family, Elohim, who ruled all things, speedily rending vengeance to him according to his deserts. Therefore you shall publish the copy of this letter in all places, that the Yahudim may freely live after their own laws.
All right, so keep in mind, they just recently in all these places, all the enemies have now showed themselves. Oh, we can kill you. Oh, there's an order. They're going to pay us. So now you've exposed all the real enemies that's around you that was only tolerating you to benefit from you. Verse 20.
And you shall aid them, that even the same day, being the 13th day of the 12th month Adar, they may be avenged on them, who in the time of their affliction shall set upon them. For Almighty Elohim has turned to joy unto them the day wherein the chosen people should have perished. You shall therefore among your solemn feasts keep it a high day with all feasting, that both now and hereafter there may be safety to us and the well-affected Persians, but to those which do conspire against us, a memorial of destruction.
A memorial of destruction. So Purim is a memorial of destruction for all those that conspire against our people. Not to just, hey, you know, I'm tired of them beat us in football or track or what. No, we want to murder these people. We want to wipe them off. So this is a memorial for all of those nations and the descendants of those nations that are taking part or taking joy or okay with the destruction of our people. Purim is a memorial for that. Verse 24.
Therefore, every city and country whatsoever which shall not do according to all these things shall be destroyed without mercy, with fire and sword, and shall be made not only unpassable for men, but also most hateful to wild beasts and fowls forever.
All right, so is this country taking part of that? This country observing Purim and treating us with fairness? Nope. Verse 13.
The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and that the Yahudim should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the posts that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given at Shushan the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple, and the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Yahudim had light and gladness and joy and honor in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came. The Yahudim had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Yahudim, for the fear of the Yahudim fell upon them.
All right, so now they're showing you, oh, you see this person got fringes on. They're an Israelite. Oh, you see this person was doing circumcision. They're an Israelite. Oh, you see this person, they keeping Jewish laws. They're an Israelite. Well, this is when this started to happen. When you had the fear over all the land, now everybody trying to become a Yahudim. Now there's Jewish and all this other stuff going around because they feared. That was the beginning of that. All right, so let's go to the last chapter, chapter 9.
Esther, Hadassah, chapter 9 and verse 1. Now in the 12th month, that is the month Adar, on the 13th day of the same month, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Yahudim hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Yahudim had rule over them that hated them, the Yahudim gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell on all people.
Watch that verse right there. We gathered ourselves together in the cities throughout all the provinces to lay hand on such that sought their hurt. So there was retribution and there was fear that fell upon all the people. That day may come again when all those people have been exposed for trying to kill us and the tables turn. And it's going to be in our hands to defend ourselves. And we will be empowered. Verse 3.
And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and the officers of the king helped the Yahudim, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Yahudim smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto all those that hated them. And in Shushan the palace, the Yahudim slew and destroyed 500 men. In Parshandatha, and Dalphon, and Aspatha, and Paratha, and Adalia, and Aridatha, and Parshmata, and Arishai, and Aridai, and Vayesatha, the 10 sons of Haman, the sons of Hamadatha, the enemy of the Yahudim, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. On that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan the palace was brought before the king. The king said unto Esther, the queen, the Yahudim have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is your petition? And it shall be granted you. Or what is your request further? And it shall be done. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Yahudim which are in Shushan to do tomorrow, also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done, and the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Yahudim were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day, also on the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan, but on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Yahudim that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together and stood for their lives and had rest from their enemies and slew of their foes 75,000, but laid not their hands on the prey.
All right, so the Yahudim that were in the actual palace area, right, got the decree a little earlier. They had the king's protection, so there wasn't as many enemies that could be coming out against them because the word went out quick. But now when you're in all the other provinces, it takes time for that message to go out. Hey, you can't kill these people. So all this is going on. The enemies, more and more enemies are showing themselves forth and trying to kill the children of Israel. So Hadassah was like, no, run it back. Let it take a minute for this to go out. Let the rest of the tribesmen and the other nations, let them go ahead and have their opportunity to get rid of their enemies. Because you say, well, why are the kids and the family and all that type of stuff? Well, you kill off somebody and the family's there. What you think that son gonna grow up and do? When this is a culture of people that is bred to hate us, what you think their children gonna do? Go ahead.
Verse 17. On the 13th day of the month Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested they, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Yahudim that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th day, and on the 15th day of the same, they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Yahudim of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another.
All right, so I just wanted you to see they had it the 14th, the 15th, and then in some cases they even had the 13th. So they got the 13th, 14th, and 15th. That's 3 days. All right, verse 20.
And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Yahudim that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both near and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly, as the days wherein the Yahudim rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning into a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor.
All right, so this is how we celebrate, right? The days are pure, right? So when you have pure, you have Purim. So this is on the 14th day of the 12th month and the 15th day of the 12th month. That's why it's Purim, the days are pure, right? And how do we celebrate that? We have joy and we feast and we send portions one to another and gifts to the poor. We take care of the poor. All right, verse 23.
And the Yahudim undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them. Because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Yahudim, had devised against the Yahudim to destroy them, and had cast her, that is the lot, to consume them and to destroy them.
So since you want to roll dice and cast lots and roll bones or whatever they were throwing at that time, on our life, guess what? We made a holy day out of it. This is the day that we got to get our revenge, to remind y'all any weapon formed against us is not going to prosper. And just in case any of you heathens in the future forget that, here's the reminder. Tom Sheep.
But when Hadassah came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Yahudim, should return upon his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all these words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Yahudim ordained and took upon them and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every year. And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail among the Yahudim, for the memorial of them perished from their seed.
All right. So just
Nor
like
the
how
memorial.
they have remember 9/11 and remember Independence Day and remember all this other stuff. Well, all that stuff they trying to make us remember. Well, these are the things we supposed to remember. Remember, while we were in captivity, even with one of our people as a queen, they still wanted to wipe us out. It only took one person to try to take advantage. But y'all got us. Finish it up.
Verse 29. Then Hadassah the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Yahudim, wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim. And he sent the letters unto all the Yahudim to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus with the words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed, according as Mordecai the Yahudim and Hadassah the queen had enjoined them, and as they had decreed for themselves for their seed, the matters of the fastings and their cry. And the decree of Hadassah confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book.
Hallelujah. And we read in the book right now. So this was Purim. This was the celebration that was our custom, our history. This is what we were given to remember. You know, all these things are about memorials for us to remember that whatever the heathen try to do, our recourse is always Yah. It's always not bowing down to the system or the structure. Remember that. Teach your children this, because we thought that this was the end of it, right? Why would you mess with these people after this, right? Well, we're going to fast forward. We're going to go to the conclusion. We're going to fast forward about 300 years later. And first you had the Persians, right? Now we're dealing with the kingdom of the Greeks. And we're going to see a similar situation. Let's go to 2nd Maccabees. So we staying in the Apocrypha. We're going to 2nd Maccabees, chapter 15, for the conclusion. All right, so let's pull up the scripts. Second Maccabees, chapter 15, for the conclusion. So just to give you the quick synopsis, the kingdom of the Greeks, this is right before the Roman Empire is taking over. They wiping everybody out. All of our enemies, these same Agagites and all these Edomites of the area and the Moabites and all the nations, the heathen around us have bowed down to the Greeks and have assisted the Greeks to wipe us out. Because again, we that strange nation of people that have strange laws that refuse to bow down to man. So they have come out to execute us. And y'all not having that. No weapon formed against us. So now we have these brothers, the Maccabees, which is a family with Maccabee meaning hammer in Hebrew, that was not having it. All right, so this is the end. 2nd Maccabees, chapter 15 and verse 1.
But Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in strong places about Samaria, resolved without any danger to set upon them on the Shabbat day. Nevertheless, the Yahudim that were compelled to go with him said, O destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day, which he that sees all things has honor with holiness above.
All right, so what you're seeing here is the heathen know that we honor, that the believers of Yah, we honor the Sabbath day. We're not supposed to burn fires on the Sabbath day. When you look at that word, that means to have conflict, to stir up strife. We're not supposed to do it on the day. It's peace, even the donkey rest. So how are we gonna get on horses and chariots and go out there and fight on that day when even the donkey supposed to rest, even the horse supposed to rest? But this is when they're attacking us. See, the coward thinks that they can come on Yah's day and it's gonna be all right. Well, let's see what happens.
Verse 3. Then this most ungracious wretch demanded if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Shabbat day to be kept. And when they said there is in heaven a living God and mighty who commands the seventh day to be kept.
So look at this, the most ungracious wretch. All right. So this is a woman now has no understanding because she's ungracious, right? And she's like, nah, it's, you sounded like you trying to keep the law, but you stepping in men's business. You stepping in priest business. You have no idea what's going on. They wiping us out. And this is the person that wants to speak up and wants to demand how things need to be run. Not the virtuous woman, the most ungracious one. Verse 4. Excuse me.
And when they said, there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty who commanded the seventh day to be kept, then said the other, and I also am mighty upon earth, and I command to take arms and to do the king's business, yet he obtained not to have his wicked will done.
So if we the protectors of the throne, we the temple priests, we supposed to protect the temple. So you think that if they come and attack the temple on the Shabbat, we just gonna lay down and let them kill us and burn the Shabbat down, burn the temple down because it's the Sabbath day? Nah, we'd have enough sense to fight and protect the temple. So you think the building is worth more than the people? The building is more valuable than the people? Yeah, that's pretty much being ungracious right there. Go ahead.
So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public movement of his victories over Judas.
Monument.
Our monument over his victories over Judas and them that were with him.
So they're trying to set up an idol. They literally trying to set up an idol. Go ahead.
But Maccabees had ever sure confidence that Yahweh would help him. Wherefore he exhorted his people not to fear the coming of the heathen against them, but to remember the help which in former times they had received from heaven, and now to expect the victory and aid which should come unto them of the Almighty.
That's belief. But how are you going to believe that if you ain't never heard this? You don't even know who you are to the Most High. You don't even know the things that he has wrote, the love letters he's wrote to you. No weapon formed against you will prosper. If you leaving it to the media to tell you this? Who own the media? You the biggest threat to the people that own the media. You expecting them to tell you this? Who own the textbooks? The family of the same people in this Epstein. They own the McGraw-Hill textbooks. You think they gonna put it in the books and teach you? The same people that make these Bibles, that pull these things out. Them the devil worshipers. You got to teach your children. You got to understand. They don't want to hear that. You got to remind them because it don't mean nothing to them because they under your covering. They protected. But when their life is on the line, this is the things they got to be coming back to remembrance. I've been hearing this all since I was a child. I didn't hear this as a child. My parents didn't know to tell me this. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And so comforting them out of the law and the prophets, and withal putting them in mind of the battles that they had won before, he made them more cheerful.
This is what made them more cheerful. The law and the prophets, and putting into mind the battles that they won. But you let the people determine what is being preached. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear the law and the prophets because they transgressing it. They don't want to hear about the battles. Now they're afraid. Oh, I want to just be safe. I don't want to hear all this. Preach some good, lovely, nice things to us. But the believers, when this destruction is going down, this is comforting to us because we know we are safe in the law and the prophets, and the battle's already won. This is supposed to cheer us up. But you trying to pretend like you safe and that everything is good, that's not going to save you or your people. That's not going to give you the gumption to stand up for righteousness when your life is on the line.
Verse 10. And when he had stirred up their minds, he gave them their charge, showing them therewithal the falsehood of the heathen and the breach of oaths. Thus he armed every one of them, not so much with the defense of shields and spears, as with comfortable and good words. And besides that, he told them a dream worthy to be believed, as it had been so indeed, which did not a little rejoice them. And this was his vision, that Onias, who had been high priest, a virtuous and a good man, reverend in conversation, gentle in condition, well spoken also, and exercised from the child in all points of virtue, holding up his hands, prayed for the whole body of the Yahudim. This done, in like manner, there appeared a man with gray hairs and exceeding glorious, who was of a wonderful and excellent majesty. Then Onias answered, saying, This is a lover of the brethren, who prayed much for the people and for the holy city, to wit, Jeremiah, you the prophet of Elohim.
So he's seeing Jeremiah, the prophet of Yah, in a vision coming to the high priest. Go ahead.
Whereupon Jeremiah, holding forth his right hand, gave to Judas a sword of gold, and in giving it spake thus, Take this holy sword, a gift from Elohim, with the which you shall wound your adversaries.
So this holy sword given to the Maccabees by the prophet Jeremiah, a gold sword. This is metaphor for the word of Yah being given. And that is your strength. That is your power. That is what you're going to use to destroy nations and break apart men and women into pieces. That's your power.
Verse 17. Thus being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good, and able to stir them up to valor, and to encourage the hearts of the young men, they determined not to pitch camp, but courageously to set upon them, and manfully to try the matter by conflict, because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger. For the care that they took for their wives and their children and their brethren and kinsfolks was in least account with them, but the greatest and principal fear was for the holy temple.
They had more fear that their way of life, that their honor towards the Most High would be wiped out. And once that happens, the wives, the children, the brethren, all them gone anyways once the temple is wiped out. But see, it take a warrior, it take a leader, it take a man of faith to understand that. He who tries to save his life, what is the life of a man? Your wife, your children, your family, that's your life. He who goes to save his life will lose it. But he will give up my life, their life, for his sake, Mashiach will gain it. That's what the real men of Yah do. They ain't trying to go save their wives and all. You putting all that first over the Most High, you're backwards. Verse 19.
Also, they that were in the city took not the least care, being troubled for the conflict abroad. And now, when us all looked what should be a trial, and the enemy were already come near, and the army was set in array, and the beasts conveniently placed, and the horsemen set in wings, Maccabees, seeing the coming of the multitude and the diverse preparations of armor and the fierceness of the beast, stretched out his hands towards heaven and called upon Yahweh that works wonders, knowing that the victory comes not by arms, but even as it seems good to him, he gives it to such as are worthy. Therefore, in prayer, he said after this manner, O Yahweh, you did send your angel in the time of Hezekiah, king of Judah, and did slay in the host of Sennacherib 185,000. Wherefore now also, Adonai of heaven, send an angel before us for a fear and dread unto them. And through the might of your army, let those be stricken with terror that come against your holy people to blaspheme. And he ended thus.
So we judging things based on our eyes. We seeing the enemy. Oh my goodness, the enemy got all this power. He got all this muscles. He got all this weaponry. He got all this experience. He got all this backing. He's so terrifying. But he's coming not against you. He coming against Yah. So you start to become more concerned with you because you're the vessel that's being used for him to come against Yah. But when you understand that this heathen is coming against Yah, now you can stand up. And Yah can put that fear on them and they can see who's really standing up with you. Because you can't see all the angels that's standing on your side if you're standing in righteousness, but he can open the eyes of the enemy and have them see.
Verse 25. Then Nicanor and they that were with him came forward with trumpets and songs. But Judas and his company encountered the enemies with invocation and prayer.
So they coming at him with prayer and singing. That's how much faith they have. They know they're going to have to get down. That's somebody that believes this word. That's the only people Yah is going to accept. The people that truly have faith and believe in his word. Everyone is not a warrior. Everyone is not a priest. Everyone is not a mother or a queen or a father or a maid. But at the end of the day, we believers, we willing to put our lives on the line whenever it's necessary. And if you ain't putting your life on the line in a daily basis, when it means, oh, I might not be able to have this pleasure, or I might not be able to get this wrath, or I might not be able to make this money, or I might not be able to have all the friends I want, or I might not be able to get what I want, but I'm going to trust Yah. If you can't win that battle, you think when these bullets start flying, when these AI robots start coming at you, and these so-called aliens that are coming out the earth start coming, you gonna stand up manly? You gonna stand up womanly? All right. Keep feeding yourself that vanity. Tom Sheep.
Verse 27. So that fighting with their hands and praying unto Elohim with their hearts, they slew no less than 35,000 men, for though through the appearance of Elohim they were greatly cheered.
So they fought with their hands. You gonna have to fight with your hands, men. Praying to Elohim with their hearts. That means their mind is on Yah. I'm doing this victory for you, just like King David, the patriarch. He said, you think you coming at me? You defying the army of the living Elohim. You finna die.
Verse 28. Now when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness. Then they made a great shout and a noise praising the Almighty in their own language. And Judas, who was ever the chief defender of the citizens both in body and mind, and who continued in his love toward his countrymen all his life, commanded to strike off Nicanor's head and his hand with his shoulder and bring them to Jerusalem. So when he was there and called them of his nation together and set the priests before the altar, he sent for them that were of the tower and showed them Val Nicanor's head in the hand of that blasphemer, which with proud brags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty. And when he had cut out the tongue of the ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowls and hang up the reward of his madness before the temple. So every man praised toward the heaven the glorious Yahweh, saying, "Blessed be he that has kept his own place undefiled." He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, in evident and manifest sign unto all of the help of Yahweh. And they ordained all with a common decree, in no case to let that day pass without solemnity, but to celebrate the 30th day of the 12th month, which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar, the day before Mordecai's day.
All right, I think that is a mistake right there. That shouldn't be the 30th day. That should be the 13th day of the 12th month, because the Mardosha's day is Mordecai. That is the first day of Purim. That's the 14th. Then the 15th is the day of Lots. So the day before Mardosha's day or Mordecai day would be the 13th of the 12th month. So that's a misprint right there. Go ahead.
Thus went it with Nicanor, and from that time forth the Hebrews had the city in their power. And here will I make an end.
And you notice I showed you in Purim how many of them kept it the 13th, 14th, and 15th. So you see why they would be have an affinity to the 13th day for this same type of reason. Go ahead.
And if I have done well, and as is fitting the story, it is that which I desired. But if slenderly and meanly, it is that which I could attain unto. For as it is hurtful to drink wine or water alone, and as wine mingled with water is pleasant and delights the taste, even so speech finely framed delights the ears of them that read the story. And here shall be an end.
Hallelujah. So there you have, you can see why they would want to pull these stories out. They don't want you to know the manliness that your people stood up with. That's why when they put you on TV, they put men that are docile and men that are non-threatening, or they're non-intelligent, but they're strong and they need the help of some Euro Gentile. This is what they portray to you. But the stories will portray the manliness, and the manliness didn't come from you were just a great warrior. It came from the faith and the belief in Yah and the love of your people, not just your own family. These men could have ran home and just trying to protect their own families, but they stood and they fought for our people. And you look at the sisters, not just men. The women have to fight too. They're just not going on the battle like we are. Queen Hadassah had to fight and put her own life on the line and stand up and expose her nationality as a Yahudim when there's a hit out on the Yahudim. So we got countless stories of these things. So Purim is an opportunity for us to celebrate and confirm the memorial that you mess with the children of Israel, you're going to F around and find out. Because the believers, when we call to the Most High, He's going to be there for us. And He's a graceful and merciful Elohim. So the only way we can lose is if we turn away from that grace and mercy and heed on to lying vanities, like it say in Jonah. Those that heed lying vanities forsake Yah's mercy. So that's all we're going to do today. Yah's will, we will see you next week, which will actually be in Purim, where we are going to try to, celebrate and memorialize past gifts to one another, and most importantly, try to do something for the homeless. So that's something that we're going to try to do. So if you're interested in that, you're in the Atlanta area, reach out to us, and we'll give you the details of what we're trying to do. So any last questions or comments before we close out? Let me check the YouTube, see if we had any questions. All right. So somebody said in Esau or Hamite. Okay. Well, it was Esau. That's sis Dana Shalom. Good to see you, sis. So yeah, it wasn't Edomite. All right. So that's all we're going to do today. Yah's will. We will see you next week for Shabbat and for Purim. Until then, if you haven't, visit our website, israelitesgathering.com. If you'd like to donate to our ministry, you can donate via our Cash App. And our sign is money sign sword ATL or S word ATL. Until then, Yah be with you and your families. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Personal injury attorneys are more than just lawyers. They're your personal advocates and your best chance at justice. You can
All right, y'all. I got rid of that person because that was a Cushite. I had to go look at his profile because I was like, there is no report of 17 U.S. military, whether they're Navy or Marine, that was taken out. I think it's somebody that's butt sore that their supreme leader got taken out. I went and looked at their profile and it looked like a Somalian. So that's why I got rid of that person. So anyway, y'all, I pray for our brothers and sisters in the military that's in that region because I know they're not going to be safe. They're going to really be stepping up any type of airstrikes on the military bases around there. So I just hope everybody can be safe. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. And we'll definitely do this again next week. And I pray the Most High will keep us all safe in all four corners of the earth. He will keep his most powerful angels around you, keeping you and your family safe. And that is what I seek his face for, and I know he will deliver on what I'm requesting. Shabbat Shalom, family.